Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, once again, we are on. I am the MoJoKing. He is the great Mike Steph, and this is Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the 19 Media Group. This episode, we are going to talk about the AFC South. Yeah. Not overly exciting. Or is it? I'd argue it is, but it's not my point to make in the beginning. It's Mike Steph that's going to bring one big thing.
This week, this edition, this division, my one big thing will be centered around the Indianapolis Colts. Controversy creates cash, and that's exactly where I'm going to go this week. The big controversy that I'm talking about is the current situation involving the Indianapolis Colts and their premier offensive weapon, running back Jonathan Taylor. There's a dark cloud hovering over this team, and that dark cloud is the status of Jonathan Taylor. As of this recording, because things can change. I know there's an impending deadline to a trade request that I'm going to get to, but as of this recording, there's a big dark cloud. A rift between him and Jim Irsay has resulted in a trade request after they could not come to terms with a long-term extension and a pay increase wanted by Taylor. Interestingly enough, Mr. Irsay did say that something along the effects of, well, you know, if Jonathan Taylor wasn't in the league, guess what? Nobody would miss him. But by undervaluing your asset that they have, do you know what they're asking for in compensation if they decide to go through with whatever trade that they find feasible? Their starting price is a first-round pick and maybe even multiple first-round picks for Mr. Taylor, who they drafted themselves, I believe, in the third round a couple years ago. This is a former NFL leading rusher. He is the only thing that the opposing defense is key on when it comes to Indianapolis Colts the last couple of years has been Jonathan Taylor. And you choose to treat your asset, or should I say devalue your asset, but at the same time asking for the world. But I really feel that just this hubbub between Taylor and his camp and the owner / idiot Jim Irsay has a chance to overshadow what might just be the diamond in the rough of this past year's NFL draft. And that would be rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson, who would definitely be a threat with his legs. And if he can be consistent with his arm, he will be a dynamic player. Coming into the league, everybody thought that, you know, he had the talent, but he was going to take time to mold. And guess what? They named him starting quarterback already. One little stat that has me, even though I know we try not to go too far into the woods dealing with preseason stats, but there's one stat that did alarm me when it comes to Richardson, and that's over his last two preseason games, he's only completed 46.5% of his passes. This is a team in flux, in my opinion. And until they get this Jonathan Taylor situation resolved, whether they're going to get rid of him or they're going to continue to build with him, it's going to be interesting days and time for this Indianapolis Colts franchise. And that is my truncated one big thing.
Let's get into the Colts a little bit more deeply. They have a new coach after Frank Wright and Jeff Saturday didn't exactly work out. Shane Steichen takes over. He was the Philadelphia Eagles offense coordinator last year. Oh my goodness. Starting with Philly already. All right. Hold on. And then Shane Steichen obviously brought a whole new staff in with him. As aforementioned, the new quarterback of the franchise is Anthony Richardson. Extremely talented athlete. Very raw, as some of those percentages you showed in preseason kind of show. He's backed up by Gardner Minshew, one of the better backups in the league. Of course, at running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, possibly. Behind him, question marks. Zach Moss is most likely to take over. He's recovering from a broken arm. Deion Jackson, who is an undrafted free agent signee, and 5th round selection rookie Evan Hull. Evan Hull probably has a good chance to be their 3rd down back, regardless. If you're in best ball leagues, like I am now, you might want to check him out late. On the wide receiver end, it's anchored by Michael Pittman, a number 1 who hasn't quite put up number 1 stats yet, but does get a lot of attention from defenses. Paris Campbell is gone. He's going to the Giants. So Alec Pierce is now their number 2 receiver. He had a pretty solid rookie season. And then they have Isaiah McKenzie as probably their 3rd receiver. At tight end, Kylan Granson looks to be taking over as the starter there. So their receiving core is not a bunch of stars by any means. Blocking for Anthony Richardson is an offensive line that gave up 60 sacks last year. Of course, Matt Ryan is a different type of quarterback than Richardson, so maybe Richardson just run around and the sacks won't be happening. On the defensive end, they have a strong line, and they're anchored by Shaquille Leonard, who had a back issue last year. The linebacker is expected to be healthy this year, but I think he had 2 procedures on his back, so we'll see. Anyway, last season, this team went 4-12-1. Not surprisingly, the offense was ranked pretty bad, 30th. Their defense, 28th. That's in points scored and points scored against. Their win expectancy is 6.5. Mike Steph, what do you say about this team?
They won 4 games last year. One of those games was actually an upset special against the Kansas City Chiefs last year. But 4 games last year, and you said the over-under is 6.5? Okay. I'm going to preface it by this. And usually I don't hedge my bets. I'm usually very straightforward. If they have Jonathan Taylor, I will go under. If they do not have Jonathan Taylor, I will continue to go under. So that's my pick. Under. There's two. How I feel, and we did have a discussion off camera, which we're not really going to get into it in depth. But my philosophy was that being the fact that you named Anthony Richardson as your starting quarterback with the possible impending trade of your one main offensive threat, they're not in a position to win this year. They're not really in a position to be really competitive this year. It is a weak division. So just by osmosis, they might be in the mix 10, 11 games into the season. But this is not a team that's ready to win. You just said the offense and the defense was at the bottom of the league. I don't see anything that they really improved. You got a new coaching staff. To me, you got an unproven coaching staff because they came from Philly. So all signs point to going under. You got to have some also rans, and Indianapolis would be an also ran. So my official answer is under.
I think your final point is very, very solid, that somebody's going to have to lose in the AFC, and this looks like one of the teams that would be one of the losers. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to what Anthony Richardson looks like. And there's been very opposite types of ideas of what he is. People talk about his raw ability and then point out that he makes phenomenal throws and how great he's looked in practices during the spring. And then the opposite side is those percentages and those numbers you see in the stat lines in actual games, even if it's preseason. To me, those preseason games are probably more indicative of what you expect during the regular season, which is some great plays and some bad plays. But the thing is, this is the NFL. And in the NFL, you pay for mistakes. And I think he's going to make a lot of them. I don't think the team's very good. I'm going under as well. All right, our next team, to me, is somewhat of a mirror image of the first team we just talked about, but going in a slightly different direction. and that's the Houston Texans. Much like the Colts, the Texans have a brand new coach, the Mecco Ryans. He comes from San Francisco. He was their defense coordinator, and he's a former Texans linebacker. So he's come home. Their quarterback is also a rookie, the number 2 overall selection, C.J. Stroud. He's known to be very strong-armed and be very accurate. He had some issues as far as testing pre-draft that scared some teams. The running back is second year, Damian Pierce. He ran for 939 yards as a rookie, including missing the last 4 games with the ankle injury. He's just a beast. He has good speed, and he likes to run people over. They signed Devin Singletary to be his backup, and I'm assuming they're going to have a little bit of a split, which might disappoint some fantasy owners. Their wide receivers, number 1 receiver probably is Robert Woods, but he's 31 years old, and it's been a couple of years since he's really was at his peak. Behind him is Nico Collins, who's coming off a so-so season last year, but he is a big body receiver. And then a young rookie preseason sensation, Tank Dell. They call him Tank, but he's a little guy. He's a mini tank. He's 5'8" and 165 pounds. I am afraid that he might get crushed in the NFL, but he is fast and elusive. And then their one big veteran signing, Dalton Schultz, is their new tight end.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. See, so Texans automatically over. They also traded up to sign the number 3 pick, which was Will Anderson, a defensive end from Alabama. Obviously, as you would, are probably not surprised, since they traded up to get him at number 3, a beast. Okay, over the last 3 seasons, their win totals have been 3 games, 4 games, and 4 games. Their win expectancy in this season is 6.5 games. By the way, another thing that mirrors Indianapolis is their offensive and defensive scoring for and against. 30th offensively, 27th as their defense. All right, 6.5 wins. What do you say, Mr. Mike Steph?
I'm kind of torn because, I really, really was a big fan of Davis Mills, the incumbent quarterback that just came, that CJ Stroud has overtook this year. And I say that purely in jest because Davis Mills was all right, but he wasn't going to be a franchise changer. I'm tempted to go over, and you said the 6.5 also, same as the Colts. I would be tempted to go over for one reason only, and that would be DeMeco Ryans. He was much sought after because he was firmly entrenched in the San Francisco 49ers franchise. He was their defensive coordinator last year, and for the last couple of years, and they made 3 out of the last 4 championship games in the NFC. So, and he's also a former, like you said, he's a former player that he was a former linebacker for the Houston Texans. So he does have some dirt in the game, so to speak. I believe just by pure force, he's going to create a culture and hopefully build off whatever Lovie Smith left in. But unfortunately, that won't be enough to go over 6 games. I think they'll probably be on the board of 6-11, 5-10, 6-11. But it's going to be a different losing record than in years past. In years past, they were 4-12, 4-13, or what have you, and you just knew there was no future. I think this year could be a 5-12, 6-11 team, but you can say, all right, CJ Stroud is developing. You got the beast and Will Anderson. You could see things starting to go in the right direction. So under meaning under development.
All right, I like it. I don't remember which team you said this about, but you mentioned that the record kind of doesn't matter. It's just that they're building something there. And that's pretty much what's happening here in Houston. I'm going to say under with the asterisk because we just talked about the Colts and we talked about the Texans now. I think the Texans are in a different spot, even though a lot of the things line up the same. I think the Texans are much closer to ready to win. Okay. And more importantly, I think that the Texans are on the way up, while the Colts have been kind of floating. And I think that they're going to go down before they go up. So I'd be much happier if I was a Texans fan and a Colts fan coming into the season, even if I have them both under.
I agree. That's perfect analysis.
Are you ready to step up your style without compromising the planet? Introducing the exciting partnership between BLUEVIEW Footwear and the 19 Media Group Network. Just visit bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19 to start your sustainable style journey. Our friends over at BLUEVIEW Footwear are renowned for introducing the world's first fully biodegradable sneaker. By using plant-based plastics, they are leading a revolution in cleaner materials and manufacturing. They have sleek and contemporary styles that cater to a wide range of tastes. BLUEVIEW Footwear believes that fashion and sustainability can coexist harmoniously. Explore their incredible collection of eco-friendly footwear by visiting bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19. If you let us know you made a purchase, we'll shout you out on our next show. Again, just visit bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19 today, and you'll see the ultimate collaboration of fashion, sustainability, and media excellence.
All right, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans. They are coached by Mike Vrabel. He is 48-34. Unlike these other teams that we just discussed, this team is mostly intact and full of veterans. At the helm will be Ryan Tannehill, quarterback, running back Derrick Henry. At wide receiver, they do have a new addition, which kind of changed the dynamics of this team, DeAndre Hopkins. So he signs late in the offseason with Tennessee. They had no number one receiver. Might argue they had no number two receiver either. But now Treylon Burks becomes their number two. At tight end, they have Chigo Okonkwo, was a rookie last year, quietly received for 450 yards, and he will probably have an expanded role this year. As far as scoring, they were 28th. Their offense was 28th as far as scoring. Their defense was 12th scoring against, so not bad. Their record last year was 7-10. Their expected win total this year is 7.5, according to covers.com. Mike Steph, where are you on the Tennessee Titans?
Ever since Vrabel has taken over as coach of the Tennessee Titans, there's two things you could count on. You could count on a very tough-minded, hard-nosed team that committed to the run, and they were going to have a consistent, stingy defense. Those are two things that you pretty much knew you was going to get with the Titans, and you always knew they were going to be in the hunt for a playoff spot, and they were going to be a tough out when we got to the postseason. Last year, to me personally, was a blip in the recent history. I believe a lot of that had to do with injuries, because Tannehill was out for extended period of time. They had to go through a long stretch with then rookie quarterback Malik Willis, who showed flashes. From what I'm reading and hearing in the offseason, he has improved by leaps and bounds, which is going to be very, very interesting. I think this is a make or break year for Tannehill, because I can feel that if he does come off to a slow start, they will make a change. If the improvement of Willis in the offseason proves to be tangible, you have, like you said, a number one receiver if he remains healthy in Hopkins. So that would kind of ease the transition. You would think we ease the transition in if they decide to go to Willis. Last year, you said their record was 7-10. Do you know that last year they actually lost their last 7 games? They ended the season on a 7-game losing streak. They were pretty much like the division leader for more than half the season, and they got caught by this team that we'll talk about next in Jacksonville. That's the only reason Jacksonville got in, because Tennessee was just on a slide that they couldn't stop. I would want to believe that Hopkins is going to have a chip on his shoulder to prove all the naysayers wrong, that he does have some gas in the tank. And I said all this, and I didn't mention Derrick Henry's name not once. And he truly is the motor that makes this team go. 7.5, somebody got to win this division. I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but I can see them rebounding, and I'll go over. I'll go over because we already got rid of the dregs of Indianapolis and Houston. So yeah, I could see them. I could see them going over 7.5 and not being a great team. So I'll go over.
I know we're in lockstep today. I think I'm going over too because of the veteran presence here. If Tannehill is healthy and DeAndre Hopkins, who I think has lost at least a step, maybe two, but he was so dominant in his prime. I still expect him to be able to do a lot, and I expect it to mean a lot in that wide receiver class because they were so weak there. I think DeAndre Hopkins is a game changer for this team. Their coaching has always propelled them to win more than you would expect when you look at this team. And I think it will happen again. So I'm going to go over with the 7.5. You brought up one good point about the quarterbacks behind him. Malik Willis did look light years better this year than he did when he got on the field last year, in preseason this year as opposed to when he was on the field last year. And they also drafted in the second round Will Levis. He only played in that first preseason game because of injury. So he's clearly the third one when he looked like he was the heir appointed to Tannehill. It's going to be kind of interesting what happens after Tannehill, but it doesn't seem like we have to worry about that right now. So, yeah, I'm going over 7.5.
But do you believe that the improvement made by Malik Willis is directly in correlation to them drafting a quote-unquote heir apparent to Tannehill after they drafted him last year and he was supposed to be the heir apparent? Do you believe that put a little fire under his ass?
Actually, no. I don't think it put a fire under him at all. What I think happened was he looked so bad last season that he had to know that he wasn't close to being ready. And then I think he just worked his butt off to make sure he was ready this year. And I think that, to me, that's what it seemed like to me. It just seemed like he worked his butt off. And I think it was out of embarrassment almost of last year. He didn't look like an NFL quarterback. And now he does. All right, we're going to finish up the division with the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Doug Peterson, who is now in his second year. And at quarterback is third year, Trevor Lawrence. Travis Etienne had a great rookie season. And then they drafted another running back that looked pretty good so far in the preseason, Tank Bigsby. The wide receiver core is getting a big boost from a trade they made last year. Calvin Ridley returns. In case you don't remember who Calvin Ridley is, he had 1,374 yards in 2020 with 9 touchdowns for the Falcons. Since then, been a couple of problems, but he's back. Christian Kirk, their lead receiver from last year, presumably is pushed down to number 2, and Zay Jones is now working the slot. At tight end will be Evan Ingram, Giants castaway who's making a home in Jacksonville and looking pretty good. Their defense was solid, not particularly great, but solid last year. In scoring, their offense was motoring to a 9th finish as far as most points scored, and their defense right in the middle, allowing the 14th most points. Last season, their record was 9-8. That's with them winning 7 of their last 9 games. Their win expectancy this year is 9.5. Mike Steph, where you got him at?
9.5. Okay. You just said they were 9-8 last year by winning 7 of their last 9 games. And the jump-off point is going to be 9.5 wins. Why? Because they made it to the second round of the playoffs due to Brandon Staley's idiotic play calling in the wild card game, in which they were down 27-0, in which I believe Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions. Now, he led his team back to secure that victory. I will give credit where credit is due. I will give credit where credit is due when it comes to Doug Peterson, who people do forget is a Super Bowl winning coach when he won the Super Bowl a couple years ago as head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He has always been, I wouldn't say an offensive guru, but a quarterback whisperer. He's just been overshadowed by the McVays, by the Shanahans, by whoever the flavor du jour is of the year. I say all that to say 9.5. No. I don't see this as a 10-win team. I don't see this as a double-digit win team. They will be competitive in their weak AFC South. They will be competitive in fighting neck and neck with the Tennessee Titans to see who will be the one representative coming out of this division. Yeah, because I only see one person coming out of this division. And I personally see that one person winning with that 9-8 record. So I can see them going board 9-8 again. Under 10, 11 wins. Look, they haven't improved that much. I'm sorry.
This is much better. We disagree. I like it. I like it better when we disagree.
Yeah, it's a little bit more spicy.
Yeah. And you're being ridiculous. Look, this team was 9-8 last season, right? Trevor Lawrence is entering his third year. He will be getting better. Their running backs are in their second year and first year. They will be getting better. Their wide receiver core had a pretty solid season, but now they get Calvin Ridley. Even if he's not 100% Calvin Ridley, he's still going to be adding to this team. Everything says forward. And then you don't have to deal with the Colts, and you don't have to deal with the Texans too much because you should beat them down. You should win 3 of those 4 games. You're already a third of the way there. This is going to be easy over. I can't believe you were talking about it being under. I can't believe it. They're going to win 11 games.
How many people have come off a year of inactivity and actually been productive when they returned, especially a skilled position such as wide receiver or running back?
Well, we will be getting into it next episode, but you have been watching too much Deshaun Watson.
Who? I know nothing of who that person you speak of.
All right. That is the worst way to end a show talking about the AFC South, but here we are. All right, Mike Steph, wrap us out.
Okay,
take us out. There we go.
This has been so nondescript episode of Hidden Gems Football because we had to deal with the nondescript division of the AFC South. You know, thank goodness our spirits hasn't gone south dealing with this dreck. But hopefully we was able to give you some type of insight of what to expect this upcoming NFL season. So with all that being said, Hidden Gems Football is a part of the 19 Media Group. Goodbye.
Bye. Jags dominate. You heard it here first.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
Mike Vrabel. Why can't I say his name?
Vrabel.
Yeah.
Vrabel. Like Vroom.
Yeah, Vrabel.
I think you know why I was looking at the division and I'm just like, I really can't get no jokes off. They're just so nondescript. I can't get no jokes off because I could give less. I have really no attachment to none of these teams, positively or negatively. They don't have any like stupid ass players. It's just it's just dry. It's dry like toast.
Mike Vrabel. I can't do it. Did I get it right the other time?
Coach Mike.
Vrabel. Yeah, that guy. All right, bro. I think you just blew out my eardrums.
Sorry about that. I forgot.
The thing I was going to say about the painting is that, do you remember that there was a internet thing going on with the dress, and they kept asking what color the dress is?
Yeah.
Well, the painting, in my eyes, keeps changing colors every once in a while.
Oh yeah, it does. And there's a reason why I'm going back and forth, because I think it has something to do with my technology, because I have self autofocus. So if I'm closer to the camera, you see, it just changed. But if I turn back, if I go further from the camera, the focus, this is a multifaceted, You see, that's what's the beauty of this painting. This painting just changes colors, and it's actually only really one color. Yeah, I know you see the red and the yellow and the blue, but no, it's actually all orange.
At tight end, they have. I fucking said this name like 10 times to say it right. Now I'm stuck. Now my head is all messed up because I can't say the coach's name. That's all.
But no, I know. Which go about there was the blue and black dress that everybody was talking about. It was a gold dress. And I'm like, you're talking about it's gold. It wasn't gold. It was blue and black. But yeah, that's the inspiration behind this painting.
Man, I just be butchering names. That's just what I do.
Listen,
it's part of my gimmick.
We all got a flaw somewhere. Oh my goodness! You know, I know we're recording, but my wife just really gave me the utmost confidence. I mean, the utmost compliment. She came in, and I thought she was looking at the beautiful painting, but she was actually looking at the beautiful being that is in front of the beautiful painting. I love you so much. Sure, please keep this in. Yes, Mrs. Oooh said hi.